Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing this Wednesday? Oh, thank you for DC. Thank you so much. It was such a long day yesterday, but we got through it, and then we had to deal with the snow driving back. So I'm just glad it wasn't snowing as bad as it was snowing in DC yesterday when we got back to the city. But it was a wonderful experience as always. Hi, folks. We're going to give people a few more minutes before we invite Darlene to our conversation. Let's see if folks join. Give it a minute or two. 7 o'clock on the dot. Buenas, bienvenidos a todos. Okay, let's start.
Hello.
Hi, Darlene.
How are
¿Cómo
you?
estás?
Bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
Bien, bien. You see me well?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. You look
You
great.
look really great.
It's
I don't know if
a great. It's a
you're
great filter. It's a
where are
filter.
you? Are you in Cali?
Yes, I'm in
Okay,
California. Yep,
because
I'm in
I
Cal.
see daylight y aquí es de noche ya. But you have
Ya
the
la
sun.
luz se fue allá. Aquí todavía hay
La
luz.
luz está entrando por tu ventana. And I'm like, espérate, she's not here.
No, no,
Well,
no, no.
Darlene, thank you for joining me today.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you.
we host these interviews every Wednesday to give authors an opportunity to share their story, to share their books. And usually it's authors that don't necessarily receive the promotion and the
Yeah,
marketing and the attention that they should be
yeah,
receiving.
yeah,
So I try to make time to, give them that space
yeah.
during these IG lives. Y después
Mhm.
de ahí, uno nunca sabe, because I have heard that opportunities have opened to
Oh,
people.
yeah,
Actually, yesterday in DC,
yeah,
there was an author that I interviewed, Julissa, and she's La Madrina
yeah, yeah.
in tech, La Latina Madrina,
I've heard of her. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I connected her to a Dominicana who works in Google,
Uh-huh.
here in New York. No, she is in Switzerland.
Okay. Wow.
And from there, she got booked to go to the Google office here in New York City and present. And then she flew to Dublin
Wow. You
to
just never
present her
know the
book
connections
right
that will
off.
come out of it.
Es
Yeah.
que yo conozco
Yeah.
demasiada gente.
When
And then
I
I
guess I called
tried.
the right person then. That's good.
So
That's good. That's good.
after the interviews, I try to think, like, who do I
Yeah.
know that would
Yeah,
be
yeah.
great
Yeah.
to move her on to
That's
the
amazing.
next step,
Yeah.
right?
Thank
So
you.
now,
Thank you for
you
that.
got Dominicans in Dublin purchasing her
We're
book, and that's
everywhere. We
amazing,
are everywhere. I
porque
love
nosotros
us.
estamos hasta en la sopa.
En la sopa. That's right. I love it. Thank
Okay.
you so much. And honestly, like I just want to just say that, we'll get into it. I can't wait to get your questions and talk about this. But the reality was that someone sent it to me. Someone sent me another Dominican that lives actually out in the Hamptons. She's actually was at the film at Lincoln Center. I met her one day. You know how Dominicans are. We meet each other. We're like, oh my God, you're forever connected. And she sent me your account, and she's like, it was kind of like a thing for me because I published the book, and as I'll share a little bit, my health, it's really focused on my health. The book is part of my health journey, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot to promote it. One thing is to publish it, and then another thing is to write it, promote, and then promote it, right? And so
Correct.
I just felt this like energy, and then I started sharing with my community, with being like, oh, I'm just going to reach out to this organization just to also teach us, because this is what we're doing. We're all learning, right? We're all learning how to build community, how to support each other. And so you replied immediately, and I was so grateful. So thank you again for having me and for letting me share my story with the Healer's Playbook. So thank you.
Yes, un placer, un placer.
Gracias,
And for
gracias.
those of you who are new here, my name is Angie, and I'm the executive director of Dominican Writers Association. And every Wednesday, we host these IG live conversations with Dominican authors so that they can tell us about their most recent project, which is
Yeah.
usually a book. So today we have Darlene Cordero, who is an award-winning art director and founder of Cordero Design, a Brooklyn-based art and design studio specializing in brand identity
Mm-hmm.
and multimedia campaigns. You are a graduate of FIT,
Wait,
and
I think you might have another. I'm like, wait, I'm
wait,
listening to this bio.
really? You
No,
have
there's another. There's another Darlene
oh,
Cordero.
oh my God. Rewind. Okay.
I was like, wait,
Rewind.
I'm
Play.
listening, and I'm like, wait, okay,
She's
wait.
like,
You
some of
know
that
what?
is
A
me.
few people have told me about her. By the way, the fact that there's two Darlene Corderos, that's amazing.
Yes, in New York City.
Yeah,
I
and in New York
there's
City. So
another
you know
person
what
by
I'm
my name.
taking this as a thing is that I need to reach out to
There's
her
a
because
person by my name somewhere out there, and we have
that's
coincided
wild.
in like job interviews.
Yeah.
It's been so
Wow. And
weird.
Darlene is, and she spells it exactly like I do.
Yes,
Because as
exactly. It's
Dominican,
the
you know
same
that we
name.
put that
So,
lean is
Darlene,
another way.
I'm gonna
So
give you the pleasure
yeah,
of
yeah, totally,
introducing
totally,
yourself, please. And
totally.
my apologies for that.
No, don't worry about it. And I don't know if I sent you my bio. It's all good. So I am a director of talent and partnerships. For many years, I worked at Univision in event marketing, and then recently, 2 years ago, I actually left a role that I had for 4 years with Deepak Chopra at his company Chopra
Oh,
Global. And so what I
okay.
focused on there was marketing and specifically partnerships around representation, around wellness. So really my work has been focused on what are the faces and voices in this sector, right? The sector of wellness and well-being is kind of new for us, right? We think of more of the fitness part, but not the mind-body connection. And
Right.
so one of my biggest, I would say, projects that I did was in 2020 during the pandemic. I was able to do a partnership with Jay Balvin and Deepak Chopra. It was an initial thought for me of like, how can we reach more people in the Hispanic market around meditation? And called, because I worked at Univision, called the team, and things just synchronistically happened. And I was able to do that partnership with Jay Balvin and Deepak. So there was a 21 meditation. I don't know for many of you that have ever done, like Oprah and Deepak did that for many years. And so I did that from that point. Then it was a thought, and I was like, if I could get a little kid in Colombia, right? Thinking about him being Colombian, meditating, then I'm good. Like I've done something good for in my lifetime. And then it just opened up a really big, beautiful, kind of like, what can I really create? Because I think that when we grow up in our communities, we come from working families where we're constantly, that's like, expectations are high, but like we don't know how high we can go.
Right.
And when I saw that, I was like, oh, I can do anything now. Like we all have those moments, right? Like either we graduate from college or we do these bigger things that we've never seen or experienced. So that's kind of like the gist of it. And then 2 years ago, I started my own company called Wellness Culture. And there I've been focused on supporting the practitioners. So imagine your yoga teachers, your breathwork teachers, people in wellness that don't have the ability or not necessarily as savvy around business. My degree at SUNY Empire State was in arts management. So really being able to merge the idea of like them as talent, as speakers, as artists that they are, and having someone that helps them in that journey of entrepreneurship. And that's what the book's about.
Look at that. Okay, so we're kind of like in the same business.
Yeah. Yeah, really? Okay, cool.
I mean,
I'm
in a
happy
way.
I
I
was
mean, we're
good.
in the nonprofit
Yeah,
sector,
yeah.
but a lot of
It
those
feels like
things,
nonprofit what I do.
I have to do sometimes.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
mentioning Jay Balvin, I
Yeah.
recently saw an interview that he did where he was speaking about his mental health
Mm-hmm.
and his
Mm-hmm.
upbringing as a child, and mentioning that he was kidnapped here in the US,
Yeah, I
and
remember that story.
he
Yeah,
had
yeah.
such an incredible story. I
Yeah.
was like, OMG.
Yeah.
So you mentioning him, now I'm thinking, wow, he was one of the perfect people that you could have chosen for that,
Yeah.
because he has such a strong
I
story,
get
and I'm
full
pretty
body
sure
goosebumps when I think
when
about
it
it. Yeah.
comes to mental health, he's a very strong advocate
Yeah. Yeah.
of that. And of course, mental health falls under wellness. It's not just body, is spirit,
My mind,
your psyche, all of
all
that.
of it. Yeah.
And you helping the wellness professional is
Mm-hmm.
incredible, because when I used to study psychology, they used to tell us, psychologists should also see a psychologist,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So
We
because
all need it.
you're servicing individuals who are vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
who are going through things that may be triggering to you as well, right? And you should
Mm-hmm.
also see someone for that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
super duper important.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing your
Thank you.
background. Very
Thank you.
interesting. Now I'm gonna go and deep dive into your real bio.
Sorry about that.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no
yeah.
te preocupes. Don't worry about it. So, Darlene, you have a book,
Yes, I do.
and this book, do you have the book
I
there that you could show everyone?
do. I have my
It's
book,
this
The Healer's
beautiful
Playbook.
pink book, señores, que se llama The Healer's Playbook.
That's it. My
Okay?
baby. Yes.
So, was there a defining moment in your journey that
Mhm.
made you realize that wellness entrepreneurs needed a guide like this book?
Yes. Well, I was working with Deepak Chopra, and then after with my own company, I've worked with Jay Shetty's life coaching school with many other leaders in the space. I noticed that they had figured it out, right? Deepak started this 30 years ago. All the synchronicities and beautiful things that have happened in his career. Same thing with Jay and other of my clients. But then there's this other group of people that are, local yoga teachers or people that are not necessarily don't understand business, or they don't focus as much. I call this the healing arts. Just like there's an art form of, there's painters, this is another form of artistry for us humans, all of us. We all have the capacity. We're all artists.
Mm-hmm.
The book, The Artist's Way, talks so much about that. I don't know if you've ever read it, but like I think that book really opened me up to understand that no matter what we do in our jobs, like our lives are a piece of could be art in many ways, and how we dress or how do we express ourselves. So I realized that many of these healers needed support. Many of them would call me and be like, Darlene, how much I charge for this? Or, how we are. We're always giving advice, like it's just part of our culture. No unsolicited advice half of the time. But this time it was like people were asking me for my advice, and they knew I worked in entertainment, worked with talent and events there and so they knew that I knew how to manage that and partnerships. So I just saw that there was just a huge gap in the wellness industry around supporting the practitioners, coaching them through that journey of entrepreneurship as they're pouring themselves out to all of the patients and people that they see.
Right.
How are they pouring back into themselves, and being able to have a book, a guide for them so they can know what to do. And ultimately, the book is really a self-reflection. It's a place for them to come back to themselves. It's filled with many journal prompts. It's a lot of like, why did I decide to become a yoga teacher? Why am I a breathwork teacher? Like, because what in our life, the world we live in, we're always looking sideways. Okay, look at what that person's doing, or I'm not, ahead. And that happens to everyone, even if you're Zen and meditating every day. Like we all have the same, insecurities. So I wanted them to know that they weren't alone, first of all. I think that's the biggest thing as a solo entrepreneur. When you're doing a lot, it doesn't even matter if you're in wellness or not. Entrepreneurship is the biggest test of your own self-confidence and
Yeah.
your belief in yourself. You're literally delulu half of the time. You're like, I think this is going to work. And you're by yourself half of the time and you're talking to yourself, right? And so I wanted to have a place, and same thing with like all the different communities that I support and I've created. It's around community. It is a huge thing, as it is for you. You know, that's why I love what you building, because we want to create platforms and places to amplify our voices, because the reality is no one, you know, no one's really knocking on my door if I don't go and do it, right? And so that takes a lot of self-confidence and a lot of, you know, daily grind. And I don't like that word so much, grind, but it is, you know. I don't want to
It's
hustle. I
the
want to
daily
create.
hustle.
Yeah, I want to create. I want to be in flow. I want to, you know, DM you and you know, synchronistically you're like, yeah, let's do this. That's what I'm into more than the hustle. So that's what usually a lot of these people in wellness are also, but there's a way to do it. And so that's why I wrote the book. And the reality was that I had another book idea before. I have multiple book ideas. This is the first of many. I self-published this book. It's available on Amazon. It's very specific. So I wanted to create it in a certain format with certain, you know, because it is for wellness practitioners. But it didn't happen until 2023. I got diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. So I am in this journey talking to you coming from that place. So not until that happened, you know, did I say, oh no, I have to do it. I have to create something that is my legacy. It's part of like what I have to leave behind of my story, right? We all have stories. We all have something to share. And I think that was the catalyst. I mean, besides me wanting to serve so deeply this community, that really pushed me to say there's no time like right now. So I started the process of writing, of deciding if I wanted to go through a publisher or an agent and all of that stuff. And I know a lot of that process because of my work. And I just thought, I don't want to wait till someone picks it up. I want on my timeline, and I figured it out. I actually do a lot of calls with people sometimes when they don't know how to self-publish, and I'm like, okay, it's, you know, it's like everything. You figure it out and you learn, and then you can share that with other people. But yeah, I did it on my birthday. I published it on my birthday, and I received a lot of beautiful feedback on it. And yeah, so that's kind of what was the catalyst for me to publish the book.
Thank you for sharing that. It must have been a very difficult time for you, to go through that. And I understand that you're going through immunotherapy at the moment,
Yeah.
correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, just to stay stabilized.
To stay
Um,
stable. Yeah.
y para que no dures más.
Y
Si Dios,
muchos años, aquí
si
estamos.
Dios quiere,
Yes, sí,
¿verdad?
Dios, con la ayuda de
So,
Dios.
in this book, you make an emphasis for building a purpose-driven business,
Yeah.
right? How do you define purpose-driven in the wellness industry, and why is that crucial for the long-term
Yeah.
success?
I think I touched on it a little bit before on purpose, like returning to your why, right? We hear this a lot of times, like, why did I decide to become a practitioner or dedicate myself to serving others, which is what these individuals are doing. And I think for anyone listening, you don't need to be in the wellness industry. It's constantly your why. Like, you know, we grow up in an environment, at least I did. My mom came to New York in the 70s. I grew up in New York City. It was all about work. I wasn't ever asked my why. I wasn't ever asked, what do you want to do?
And
How do you
Dominican
want it?
parents
Like,
don't do that.
no, they don't have the capacity. They don't have the language. They
Right.
don't have the, like, it's a lot of, right. Their
Because it wasn't
structure.
asked of them either.
Exactly.
But it ended
So
with us.
is it, and we've changed that. And we've changed that. And so it's in that, you know, you continue to say, okay, well, what truly makes me happy? What
Right.
truly makes me happy? And then it's always your compass. I believe it's our compass. When we know what lights us up, which is what I believe your purpose is. Like
Yes.
you naturally, you get lit up when you do this
Yes.
one thing. You know,
Yes.
you naturally are it's just, it comes like second nature. You don't really have to, you know, it doesn't feel like work. All of those like words are just indicators for us that that's the thing, that could be the thing. And so I think our purpose and creating purpose driven businesses is returning to that constantly. Your mission, your personal mission statement. What are you here to create? My little thing, I worked with one of my teachers that I did my yoga teacher training. I've never taught a day in my life, but like I did my teacher training so I could learn about my body, because I just, you know, I remember the first time I went to yoga, I was like, nobody looks like me. Their bodies don't look like me. You know what I mean? And then I was like, you know, I'm going to take a class. And within that, I have an amazing teacher, and she did a practice with me around my personal mission statement. So it doesn't matter the title that you have, right? Because these titles change. Like one day you're the director of this, tomorrow you're the president, then the next day you are unemployed. And that sense of self is lost. And so if we work with ourselves in the sense of understanding what our mission is, what our personal statement is of our lives, it doesn't matter where you are, what you are doing, you're always going to walk into that room and do that thing.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Right.
So
Yes.
for me, for me, it was more of like my mission statement is that my mission is to create, bring community and joy, to my, you know what? I haven't said it in a long time, and it's funny that I haven't, that I can't, it's not rolling off my tongue because I had practiced it so many times. It's my purpose is to create purpose and joy or something like that. You know what? I'm gonna comment in this thing I'm live after, and I'm gonna tell you what it is. But the goal is, because it's very concise, because what I end up doing with people that I meet and whatever, I'm always connecting people. Um, sorry. Oh, sorry, I'm about to
Bless you. Bless
sneeze.
you.
Um, bringing people together and connecting them. That's literally what I do. I love bringing people together, bringing them closer to their purpose. And so I think that that's ultimately the work that I'm here to do. And so it doesn't matter where I go, what I do, I'm always doing that thing. So, long story to just answer that one question, but yes.
No, thank you. I think I agree with you. I think it's very important for people to be authentic, to know who they are and why they're doing what they're doing, because there's nothing worse than you being miserable doing what you're doing. And then if
Exactly.
you're miserable doing what you're doing,
You're making
you're gonna
everybody
pass that
miserable.
on to the next person. You know, that's when people, and it reminds me when people go and they let's say they go into a Starbucks and the barista is nasty with them, that person is miserable in that job.
I know.
So, and they're expressing
Yeah.
that when they
Yeah.
tend to you,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you don't know why you're doing this, or
Yeah.
at least, you know, sometimes we do have to do things that we don't like, but we
Oh,
need to find a compromise, right? And not be miserable about it, because we
yeah.
know, okay, ya estamos de acuerdo, tengo que hacer esto es lo que se va a hacer
Yeah.
hasta tal punto,
¿Hasta
and that's
cuánto?
it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not dwell on the
Yeah.
negativity of it,
Yeah.
right?
There's a
Because
lot of that. And sadly, in our communities, we focus a lot. I mean, I remember you know, past 15, 20 years, I've been on this path of like going to retreats and learning language and like, you know, educating myself. And then when you started like being very conscious of your words and how you're showing up, then you hear other people and you're like, wow, everything that comes out of their
yeah,
mouth is negative. And
yeah,
you're like, wow,
mm-hmm.
wow. And again, it's like not being in judgment of that.
And
But
that is someone who's not happy
yeah,
with
yeah.
with their current life.
Life. Their life. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the key topics in your book is aligning business goals with personal values.
Hmm.
What is the first step entrepreneurs should take to ensure their wellness business truly reflects their mission?
Yes. So around values, I did Jay Shetty's life coaching school, like certification, last year. They were a client and they were like, you want to do it? I was like, yes. And I learned a lot about values and why values are so important. So a lot of times, and maybe for some of the people here that are, therapists or understand this, much more of a technical, psychological way, when we have conflicts with other people or we don't like something, usually they're against our values. So what we find valuable, right? That's like the simple way of describing it. So when you understand what your values are, like my value is I want diversity, equality. Like I have certain things that are like when I see a room,
DEI, that's your value?
DEI, that thing, those words, inclusion, like all the words. And that means inclusion everything,
Right.
inclusion of stories,
Correct.
inclusion of like race, inclusion of experiences, right?
Representation, yeah.
Representation, just like, and you know what, we need white people there too. Like I'm surrounded by all of the people, like we need everybody in the room. Is that when we notice that in ourselves, that we're like, oh, I didn't like that, or that person like listen to what you're saying, and usually it's that they've something's rubbed against a value of yours. So when you're a business owner and something's happening, or someone presents a proposition or a deal, or a client comes and your values are not in alignment, that's not going to be a cohesive, right,
Right.
partnership and a long-term opportunity. So that's why in the book I talk a lot about values, like doing self inquiry. It's a lot of self inquiry. It's uncomfortable. Today I got a voice note from a friend of mine from New York, and she's like, "You ask a lot of questions," and I was like, "Yeah, I mean, like, and you're," because I wrote something on Substack, and she's like, just ask what questions. I was like, no, ask all the questions. And I used to be like that. I remember when I moved out here, I had a friend, and she's like, oh, let me ask. There's something so jarring for me to people to ask me questions about how I felt. Why? Because I wasn't clear about myself, and I wasn't clear about what mattered. That takes a lot of courage, and it's scary to like say that's what I really want, and like, or this is how I feel about that. You have to create space to be able to do that. So yes, a lot of self-inquiry in the process. So yes, the values I believe so strongly, and I've learned that. I mean, none of these things I'm saying are mine. They're just things that have resonated with me, or through my
Yeah.
schooling or
That you're sharing
education,
with your
that
community.
I'm sharing with our community. Because like, again, representation, if I can't find somebody that sounds like me, that's like potentially looks like me, that I feel some sort of even soul connection. Sometimes you meet somebody and they can not have any
Right.
experience like you, and you just feel connected to them. So
And
that
vice versa,
connection,
or
yeah.
not feel connected to them.
Yeah, or not. So yeah, I think that that's super important to do that self inquiry, especially when you're building a business, because again, what's going to happen in that journey is that you, and that experience of being an entrepreneur, you're going to face a lot of self doubt, and a lot of self questioning, and a lot of like, am I really doing this? Am I like, why do I think I should do this? A lot of things come up about our childhood, about how what we were told, or all of that. So do the work. I'm a believer in doing that work. So when things come up, you have answers about yourself, because ultimately you are ultimately the person in this life that will show up for yourself. You can't look at other people. You have to take responsibility for yourself. And we know that, like, when things happen in our lives, or at Starbucks somebody's nasty to you, how are you going to respond to that? Like, it's you have to, you can't let those other people, right, ruin the day. But we do have our days that happens, but usually we try to, like, I think if we do a lot of that work within ourselves, it just, you feel sad for those people and then you just move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that with self doubt comes self sabotage, because
Mhm.
you're not confident, right? And you're constantly questioning whether what you're doing is what you're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah. And I think that that's why little wins in the process, like I have people in my community, because I created a community off of the book, and we have weekly calls It's like it's on Mighty Network, so we do it in a small container, an intimate container. Is that I want to start a podcast or I want to write a book, and I'm like, are you ready?
Yeah.
Like what I
Do you
want you
know
to
what
do.
comes with that?
Yes,
And
are
are
you
you
ready?
also ready? What I
Yeah.
also tell folks is, are you ready to be receptive of those opportunities and those doors that may open to you? Because I tell people, just because you self-publish doesn't mean that your book doesn't have any value,
Mm-hmm.
right? You
That's
never
true.
know where your book is going to go. And as I mentioned earlier, I had that author that I interviewed and she ended up in Dublin, right? So you
That's so
never
cool.
know what opportunity are going to come to you, but you have to be open to that. You have to be receptive. Otherwise, Dios no te va a mandar nada.
No, es verdad. Y también, like, I think it's like understanding that you are going to be open. We're going to be open to it all, right? Because, and this is the thing, like, you have to be ready to what this experience is going to. Are you receptive to, and are you ready to receive the blessings? And I want to say that again. Are you ready to receive the blessings? Because I think that a lot of us don't come, we're like, my mom doesn't know what I do. She does. She said,
None
if
of
you ask her,
our
she
parents.
says no. Like, they don't know what we do. They're like, huh? I didn't become a doctor or a lawyer. Like, she still can't explain. I'm like, mom, it's like, and she doesn't. It doesn't matter that I've worked with like pseudo celebrity people. She still doesn't know what I do.
It's not
Um,
Cristina, so forget
it's
it.
not
And it's not Don
Christina. I mean,
Francisco, so she don't know
I'm
what he's
like
talking
so sorry.
about.
I mean, I even worked with those people. She didn't, but you know how they are. So it's just, you know how they are. And so it's this thing where you always have to come back to you
Back
and
to the
how
why, right, Darlene? Back
it
to the
goes back to your
why.
why.
Because if
Like,
you don't
why are
know
you
why
doing
you're
this?
publishing that book,
That's
and
it.
also, is it ego driven, right? Is
Absolutely. I
that
mean,
why a positive thing? Or are
yeah.
you just publishing this so you could be like, mira, publiqué un libro, mi libro, que esto, que lo otro, and people see through that, right? People
Yeah.
would be like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, should I be supporting this
Yeah.
person? Should
Yeah.
I give him an interview? Should I,
Yeah. No, no,
connect
no.
them
Yeah.
to so and so?
So
They
true.
don't appear to be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
y ya de ahí, esas son puertas que se cierran. Pero if you know why you wrote that book,
Yes.
or embarked in that creative journey or
Yep.
whatnot, why you brought it to fruition, and
Mm-hmm.
you're doing it con toda la autenticidad del mundo, then the blessings
Yeah.
will come.
Yeah, yeah. I tell you, I don't like, to me, that's another thing. And I know you probably talk to people in the community about this. Like, with again, with that knowledge of like my certification, and this is like a lot of stuff that people talk about is like creating a goal, right? Like, what is the goal for you when you publish? And for me, the
Definitely.
journey of like
That is my
publishing,
number one question with
what's
my
your goal?
clients.
Right? You're such a good coach. Look at you. Like,
Yeah.
that's it, right? So
Because from
for me, it was
there,
publishing
I
it.
know what
Mhm.
information to give you,
Yeah, yeah. What's your
right?
goal?
Some
And
people just want to publish books for themselves. Some people
mhm,
want to go out in the world and
mhm,
get the
mhm.
world to see and hold this book.
Yeah, yeah. And I think ultimately, none of us are going to say, no, I never want to be on Oprah's, bestseller, like her book list. Of course, we all
Yeah,
want that.
but you got to
But
get ready to be ready on Oprah.
yeah, and you do. And also it takes a lot of resources for that. The reality is that it's not just that. Like, I guess because I understand the business. I'm not just like, oh, I'm going to be on the stage with Oprah. By the way, I'm like a few degrees away from Oprah, and I would never say that. Not because I don't think that I could, but just because I that this is not the book. This is not the book for that. There'll be others for that. But the point is that I needed a win, right? And that to me is a big thing. The confidence, because you talked about confidence, and I think that creating little micro wins for us and setting ourselves up with like these little moments where we're like, okay, I was able to do that. Okay, cool. And then adds on. So then you could have the bigger, because we all see the ultimate goal, the people on the stage, the bestseller book, but you don't understand what it took for people to get there. And I think
Correct.
creating these micro, smaller wins in the process, for me, it was publishing the book. Facing a stage 4 diagnosis, it's death when you hear those words, right? You're dying. That's what you hear. And I was like, okay, I was surrounded by love, by support, my community, people I've never met. My friends started to GoFundMe, and they were just, and all I could think about was like, oh, this is creating space for me to then create, okay, now and take care of myself. And from that place, this is where I birthed the book. And so just publishing it is huge. Like, think about it. Like, these like bigger goals, bestseller. I'm like, yeah, that's all really great for me, publishing it and then getting it. When I get DMs from people that have like, I don't know, and they're like, they have my book in their hand, I'm like, that's like, I'm just in,
That's a
I don't like, it
win.
brings, that's it, that's it. I got it out there, people are reading my words, and I hope it could support, and it's literally to be in service. That is my goal, to be in service to others and their own like discovery of self and their
Right.
own happiness, and truly living this life that is very short, and we all think we have so much time, but like really doing it today. You have, tomorrow's not promised. If you want to create a book, if you want to become a yoga teacher, if you want to move to Bali, if you just do, by the way, you do it, because the only thing we'll ever think about in those last moments of our lives, or when something really bad that we don't have control, right, bad, or we don't have control of, is I should have done that thing, oh, I should have done this. And our parents have come too far, and we've come too far for like there to be limits. I think we're limitless. Let's keep
I
going.
agree. If our immigrant parents did it, then we can too.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
um, your book also highlights the power of storytelling in business. What advice do you have for healers and coaches who struggle to communicate their story effectively?
That's a huge one. Do you get this question a lot? Do you see this a lot?
I do. I do.
Yeah. I think that I sigh there, because I see it a lot, unfortunately, because I just see everybody, again, it's so connected, their self-worth and their self, you
Yes.
know their self-worth and what they think about themselves, or again, a lot of the childhood things, or personal, and sometimes it's personality. Some people are shy, some people don't want to be on camera, other
Correct.
people, and so what I ask them is like, what is the medium in which you can express yourself? So it's not that
Yes.
everybody needs to be on the
Choose
camera.
one. Choose what you're most comfortable with.
So do you love writing? Go on
Yeah.
Substack, Medium. Oh, do you love, to be on camera? Go crazy on IG. Show them everything you do. Like, share your story. Um, is it that you rather to use your voice? Okay, what are the mediums in which I can share my voice, that I want to be able to just no video, just voice? So I think that there are ways in which we can share ourselves, and we, again, not looking at what other people are doing, but like looking at what we are most, where do we light up, and where we hear people. Also, when we hear people say, oh, wow, that was really cool. When you get feedback from people,
Right.
I think listening to the feedback and not being like, oh, no, 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 it's not, that's nothing. It's nothing because it's a gift to you. Like, it's
Right.
nothing because you can naturally do it. So I think that is the biggest thing for me when I think about, and I hear it every week on my calls with the community. So right now, what I'm challenging the community this month is to do your top 10 questions that people ask you, and then answer them. So that's a way for them to get out of like their head, what type of content do I do, or how do I share my message, or that kind of thing. And I think, what are the top 10 questions people ask about your business, about how you do things, and then answer that in some of these formats. Some clients I have in the community, they love art. So express yourself through pictures, like, find an artist that you love, and like be able to express yourself. I think as humans, we need, culturally, we express ourselves through dance, right? We express ourselves through communication and verbal. We're very verbal communicators in the Dominican community. There's different ways in which we can share, and I think that we get stuck on what other people are doing. And
So
I hope,
effective is what works for you.
what was that?
And to answer the question,
Yeah.
for those who struggle to communicate their story
Mhm.
effectively, is find what works for
That's
you
it.
and stick to that. Don't try to do everything. Don't try to go everywhere. Use what you're most comfortable with and
Yes.
run with that.
That's it.
¿Verdad?
Yeah.
So when social media plays a huge role in today's business, so what are the biggest mistakes wellness and entrepreneurs make when using social media, and how can they create more engaging content?
Mm, great question. Um, I think that the first thing is that if we think about IG, right? I think it's a very visual platform, right? You have to learn what each
Yes.
platform. You could go on YouTube. This is nothing great. Go on YouTube and learn what each platform does and what ways people engage with it. So if you're on IG, make everything very visually beautiful, clear, right? Make it a way in which you can express yourself in that way. And I think that people hide a lot behind graphics, like, and instead of using imagery for things and tell a story. And I think I go back to that one question. People don't purchase or connect with a brand or an individual because of an asset, a quote. What do? They want to work with you because they want to connect with you. People connect to your story, right? People
Yes.
connect to my story. People want to they know what you do and how you serve and how you show up. That's what people are interested in. And so where there's a discrepancy for people is that they're not sure about where there's that gap is that they're not sure what they're actually doing, and that's usually why they can't show up. Because when you're very clear about what you're here to do, how you're here to do it, you're gonna shout it out of the rooftops, and you're gonna shout and you're gonna tell everybody what it is that you do. And I think that the people that make the most impact in the world are very visibly sharing themselves because they just can't do anything else. It's like when you think about artists, right, that are musicians or art or painters, they're like, I can't do anything else. I'd rather starve. Like that's the energy you kind of have to be able to be, you know, visible in this world and knock on every door, and you'll get some doors that will be slammed in your face and others that, will be opened. But I think that that's like the way that I try to support, and a lot of that is in the book.
That is
Yeah.
wonderful advice.
Thank you.
Okay, so many entrepreneurs experience doubt and imposter syndrome. We touched a little bit on doubt. What strategies do you recommend to overcome these obstacles and build confidence?
Yes. I think I spoke about the wins. I think finding wins for yourself. I think sometimes when we put these lofty goals that are like, I'm going to be the bestseller,
Yes.
author, and
Yep.
I think that it's so high that when you don't hit that mark,
You
then that's it.
feel
It's over.
defeated. Yeah.
And I think that it's not that we're not dreaming. We're going to keep dreaming. We're going to actually, it's not just going to be a dream. We're going to do it, but what are the steps that we need to take to get there? I'm so sorry. My allergies are
Don't worry
horrific
about
today.
it.
Um, and so that's a really big one. And, I think that, this idea of imposter syndrome, which is doubt and just not believing, it's finding people around you that also give you that
Uplift you.
boost,
Yeah.
that provide that. And,
Stay
and,
away
and
from the
just,
negative people.
that's,
Like we mentioned
you
before.
literally like, I was like,
You need
and it's,
positive energy around
yes,
you all the time.
yes,
La gente
yeah,
negativa que tienen la visión corta, que te dicen, tú no puedes publicar un
yeah,
libro. ¿Cómo
yeah,
va a
yeah.
ser? So
Uh-huh.
because they can't imagine it for themselves,
That's
then they
it.
want to project that onto you and
That's it.
limit you as well. So
Exactly. Exactly. And so surround yourself but with people. And I think through social media, which is wild that we can connect with people we've never met in person. Like you just believe. I was like, I'm just gonna try this. I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try that. And then you find people that can become your support. I've met so many people on social media that are my biggest supporters. And it's just because, you know, you show up and you're like, you know, you authentically show up, and then they authentically show up for you. And then you have those boosts of support from strangers, literally from strangers. And sometimes that's better than our family. Sadly,
Yes,
but true.
that is a huge.
Yeah.
I have this conversation with people all the time on the importance of building community,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sometimes, I've seen many authors often go through this writer's journey by themselves. They basically everything solo, right? And then when it comes to marketing and promoting their book, they have no clue
Yeah.
who their audience is,
Yeah.
who they don't have a support system.
Yeah.
Their family, as you know, or maybe you don't, but families are usually the last people to go and purchase your book.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
usually your community.
Yeah.
The people who understand your journey, they're going to be
Yeah.
your biggest cheerleaders,
Yeah.
right? They're going to recommend your book,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to share it,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to talk about it,
Yeah.
as well as purchase it
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And you said you created a community off this book, and that is incredible, because now you have this group of people that could talk about this book,
Mm-hmm.
go through the process of everything that you speak about on the book,
Mm-hmm.
and in an intimate setting,
Yeah.
right, where
Yeah.
everyone feels that they're in a safe space, that they could feel vulnerable, that they could share, and they could also receive the support that they need,
Yeah.
for whatever it is that they need support.
Yeah.
um
I
so
love that.
I have a huge emphasis on community. I try to get to know every single one of the authors that we
Yeah.
work with,
Yeah.
and also the authors that self-publish, even if we didn't help with self-publishing, because it's just so important to give them that support.
Yeah.
And also because I come across so many opportunities that I could share with them that could take you and elevate
Yeah.
you to the next level
Yeah.
of where you might want to be. Some people don't take advantage. Some people are fine where they are, and that's totally cool, because not everyone shares the same goals,
Yeah.
right? But for
Yeah.
those who wish to elevate and take it a little bit further, there are opportunities and resources and tools that we share with them so that they
Amazing.
could continue on their path,
Amazing.
right?
I'm so grateful that you've taken, you know, that leadership in the community. I think we need more of that.
And
People that are willing
no
to,
gatekeeping.
no gatekeeping. Let's just share. I think it's
Yes.
very important. I think I try to do that as much as possible. I think my intention with the book was to put my work, because when people work with me one on one, there's a certain rate. Not everybody can pay that, right? And so I wanted to have a book that was accessible. Same thing with the community. It's a very low price. It's cheaper than the book, actually, to come into the community, because I actually want people to have access to ongoing resources, because it's really important to not feel alone. I think again, I felt alone growing up. I felt very like out of the, fray of like my community. I don't know anybody still from Corona that I grew up with. I grew up in Corona, Queens. Like I left. I left that, not because I'm in any way, I am so Dominican. My son's dad is Dominican. I'm very much, but I knew I had it in me that I wanted to experience something else that was outside of the realm of what I knew. And for me, even coming on here is so important to me, because part of my legacy is being part of this beautiful community, that also I needed to bring other people to support me also in that.
Right.
Like, what I bring to them is all of the culture and all the things we have, right? Like all of the ways that we're warm and kind and happy and joyful. And then I needed to bring other people into my community to provide other things that I potentially didn't, I didn't know about fundraising, or, understanding, being in business calling me from DR. So
Mamá
it's
dijo, tú estás hablando de mí.
tú estás hablando de mí. ¿Qué tú estás haciendo? I had to block her on IG.
He
I'm
like,
sorry.
I mentioned you once, mom.
No, I actually blocked her on IG because I couldn't. Yeah, I can't do it. I
Did your
can't do
mom
it.
say, ay, mija, qué orgullo?
I yeah, mom is a special one. But I have other people that are just she does what she can, and then all the other people in our lives. And I want to say that to so many people that are part of this community, whoever is listening, it's like sometimes we don't have the most amazing dealt cards. Our cards are not necessarily seem so great, right? And I could say that about my cancer journey as well, right? I could sit here and focus on what I don't have, how, my projection of life potentially is not long. I could sit here and talk about all that, but I'm not going to do that because that's a waste of my time and that's a waste of your energy. And I'm not doing that. What I could do is focus on the beauty of community, the beauty of a legacy, of leaving and sharing my story, of my culture. That's what I'm focusing on. So I think, we have, but we're real about it. The reality is it's not easy. It's not easy to kind of imagine something you've never seen in your family. I was the first person to graduate from college. My son, I was an adult already with him. He graduated, I sent him to, his first one to go away to college was my son because I couldn't leave because, I couldn't leave my house. It's a big deal. These are big deals. First person to publish a book, all of these milestones. I know that you have so many people in the community that do this. It takes a lot of courage. And we don't give ourselves enough, congratulations and celebration for what we do. And so I'm so happy to be connected to you, and I'm so happy to be connected to this community. However I can be of support to it, and vice versa. I just want to thank you for having me here, because I just think that we need these stories. We need to share them so we can continue to inspire each other to show up, that you're not
And now more
alone.
than ever, where
Now
they're
more than
trying
ever.
to get rid of us.
Yes. No, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We're not going
So,
anywhere.
last question, Darlene. For people who pick up your book and read it and fill out all the questions, the prompts, y todo, what message do you want them to take away from this book?
I think the biggest message that they have is that their journey, just like our healing journey of us, through whatever modality that we are healing ourselves or trying to make sense of our lives, be it through religion, through whatever, spiritual, through fitness. Everybody has a way to connect to themselves. Is that it's a lifelong journey, right? It's like we're not fixed, right? And that in that journey, we just to return to self constantly and return to your why. And in that process, that you're not alone, right? In that process. And so I say it in the back of the book. It says it's a love letter to the healing community and a guide for wellness entrepreneurs. My goal is that to empower them to create thriving and purpose-driven businesses with lives filled with meaning and joy. That's the goal.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that. Mi gente, this is your opportunity to ask Darlene all the questions.
Oh.
She's not going to charge you. Come on. Ask away.
Oh
Let
my
us know
God, I
in the
love this.
comments if you have any questions for Darlene about
Let
this
me see.
book, or if you want some.
Definitely. I love that Scarlett's been on here giving
Yes, she
comments.
has. She has.
Scarlett
She
is a
has.
powerhouse. I can't wait for her book to come out. My scientist. Is she still here?
Scarlett,
Um,
you need a children's book. Te voy a hacer una propuesta.
¿Tú conoces a Scarlett?
No, but I know of her.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay,
I don't know her personally, but I know
okay.
what she's done. I know who
Yeah, a
she
children's
be. I
book.
know who she is.
Oh my God, I love it. Well, I'll connect you. Ay, ahí
Yesterday,
está. Oh,
yesterday
snap. Ay,
at
ay, ay, ay. She's
my
here.
highlight yesterday at Dominicans on the Hill was meeting Marilady Paulino,
Oh,
and I was like,
wow.
man, that's it.
That's
This was
sick.
it for me yesterday.
Scarlett, did you hear? She wants you to write a children's book. Are you ready? I don't know. Por favor.
Or
She's
I
just
have the author that could work with her to write it. So,
okay. Perfect.
and
I love this. I
illustrate and
love this
everything. But
connection. You see
Scarlett
how we
needs a
do this?
book. Our
I love
little
this.
girls need to have a little book on how
Oh,
Scarlett got to the universe.
oh my God. Oh my God, I'm
Okay.
gonna cry. I'm literally gonna
Oh,
cry.
really? Scarlett, está bien. Oye, ya, ya. I'm gonna reach out to you.
Oh, oh my God,
Send
I'm
me,
literally crying.
Scarlett, send me your email
Oh
via
my God.
DM, Scarlett,
Oh
que te
my
voy a hacer una
God.
propuesta.
Ay, ay, ay. Voy a llorar, Dios mío. Tú ves. This is like the stuff
Um,
that gets me emotional.
because
Uh,
we also we have a children's book box.
you do.
Yeah, déjame ver si le enseño por aquí. Hold on
I
a sec.
love this. Thank you for coming, everybody that's joining live or that's watching this later. This is how it all happens.
There
I'm
we
so
go.
emotional
Here
right
we
now,
go.
Scarlett. Like I literally am crying.
This is our children's book box. Look at that. We got off topic, but
No, this is not about this is about this.
but
This is
um
about
but
this.
yeah, this is our children's book box. I don't have the Dominican version, no la tengo por aquí, but the Dominican version has a game inside that kids can play. It's a board game that says how Dominican are you, and the kids play with little pieces, and we ask them questions like cuáles son los colores de la bandera, cuál es la música de la República Dominicana, cuáles
Sí.
son la liga de pelota, how Dominican is your child,
Oh my
right?
God,
So there's a
that's so
board game
good.
inside the box. This is for diverse readers, so this one has like a bingo challenge,
Oh my
but our
God.
Dominican one has a whole board game.
Oh my
So
God, I need to get this from one of my
and
friends.
this
Where
is
do we buy
for,
this?
so we send them out to parents. You could purchase them on the website.
Oh
They
my
come with
God.
3 Dominican books.
Oh my
You could choose
God.
the age range, but it's so that parents can introduce Dominican books to their
Oh
children as early as
my
possible.
God,
So
I
my
love this.
goal is to include a book by Scarlett in here
Ah.
so that kids can be inspired to also
Mm.
um
Go to the
see the
moon.
stars and go to the moon and all of that. Porque nada más no es soñar con pajaritos y estrellitas, sino
No.
actually getting there.
Yes, exactly. And the representation, I think that that's why
Oh,
Scarlett,
definitely,
that's
definitely.
why
Because I,
her life and what she does and how she shows up. I can't even tell you how her and I got connected. I think it's through social media and mutual friends, and she really showed up beautifully in my life when I got diagnosed and was very supportive and
qué bueno.
generous. I never had met her. Like Scarlett, you are a fucking rock star. Sorry, I said F.
It's all right. Nobody has
um,
questions for Darlene.
no, they're at dinner right now. They're chilling. They're chilling with their families.
Put, put those, eso dedo a trabajar, señores. Al menos que Darlene le haya respondido todas sus
Parece
respuestas. Pero si
que sí,
entran
porque
al
yo hablo
DM,
mucho.
si entran al DM a pedirle, a hacerle una pregunta a Darlene, ella tiene el derecho a cobrarle. There's no
No te
picking.
preocupes, that I've
I'm
gotten
gonna
really
pick
good
your
at that.
brain for free. No,
I've
this is
gotten
your
really,
opportunity.
really good at that. I've gotten really, really good at that. I've learned how to ask for what I need. So that's something that we also learn in the process. But Scarlett, I'm so happy. Thank you. I'm like this. She's so happy. Look at her. She's like, oh my gosh, this is divinely connected. This is so good. Yeah, I am available. Please, like, if I can be of support to anyone in the ways that I can, and I will share what I can and cannot do. I'm here. I mean, I'm always sharing on social media my journey through cancer, my journey through entrepreneurship, being a published author, just all the things. Like I'm here to just share what I have, and hopefully it could support people in their journey as
Yes.
well. So I'm here.
So, Darlene, where remind folks where they could purchase your book.
Yes, it's on Amazon,
Okay.
and it's on Amazon, and it's the Healer's Playbook: Empowering Wellness Entrepreneurs. And for those people in my community or you're part of it, I of course have them and I can sell. There's some people that don't want to buy from Amazon, which I totally understand. So if you don't, I've purchased them off you know, and I printed them,
So
and then
they
I
can
have
buy
them.
them from you.
Yes,
So if they
directly.
DM you, and you
Yes.
should always support the author directly. No
Yeah.
vayan a Amazon. You shouldn't have even mentioned Amazon if you were selling it. Pero ahora
No, I
háganse
love it
loco.
because
She
it's about
didn't
access.
mention that
Because what if
word.
they're in Dublin and then I can't ship it over
Right,
there?
but
Amazon can ship it there.
go to Darlene's Instagram account.
Yes.
Ask her how you can purchase
Thank
her book
thank
directly
you
from
so
her
much.
y ella se lo va a filmar, le va a poner un mensaje
Ay,
bien bonito, quizá
ay.
le mande una tarjetica, un
Uno
obsequio
nunca
bien chulo
sabe.
para que se
Ay, qué
sientan
chévere.
especial, which you're not going to get from Amazon.
No,
Okay?
no. I just want access. I think that, you know, ultimately it's access. They have the best platform right now. So that's what we're
It's
doing.
not
Um,
them. I will tell you who. It's not Amazon. But
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Let's talk about that later.
um
And then yeah. I'm already thinking about I have 3 other books I want to write. So let's talk.
what's your next 3 projects, Darlene?
Um, the next 3 books that I want to write, I mean, they're kind of random. One is about community. I have this idea about a book about creating an inner circle, and I would love to bring a community relationship expert around it and tell the story of like us growing up and what builds community, because I think community for you and I is easy. It's not so easy for other people to build friendships and community. And even when you do have your communities, because I know it happens to us when we have a big network, we don't know how to sometimes um, maximize our community, who to ask for what and how. And I think that's a big thing that I've been navigating, of how to create impact with my community. And then a kind of crazy idea, I love altars, like kind of spiritual altars. And I want to do a book about how different people are connected to spirit.
Yeah.
Wow. By the way, the light just turned on. That's so.
Yeah, because
By the
different.
way, my light just turned on. Like, did you see it? Like
That
on
was
its own.
a sign.
Okay, well that's
It's
the next one I'll
the
do.
altar book that you gotta
Ay, qué raro.
work on.
Wow. Okay. Well, the clear indication. That's so freaking weird. Okay. Oh, this is my life. Anyways, the altar book. Okay, let me not think that turned on again. Because I just think that there's a beautiful way of how different traditions around the world, you know, connect to spirit. And this idea, because I've been learning about Ifa and about Condumble from other traditions, and then it made me think about the Catholic religion, how you know, that whole thing, all of that. Um, and then the my story, because
Your
this book is
memoir.
yes, where I really tell the truth about my life, where
So
everything
we
comes out.
have a memoir writing workshop coming up March 9th. It's a free
Okay.
workshop on a Sunday. It is at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So for you, that's a bit
I wake up
early.
at 5. I'm still in New York
Okay.
time. I've been here 4 years
So
and I'm
I'll
still in New York time.
remind,
I
I'll
would love
send
to
you the
join.
invite so that you could
Yeah.
come, because our memoir mentor is teaching the workshop,
Amazing.
and she's going to do a 6-week in-person memoir writing
Okay.
workshop, but she wants to introduce it
I love
via
that.
that one day
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, it gets you thinking, what is it, how to go about it? What is it exactly that you want to do with your story? There's
Mhm.
so many ways that you can tell their story.
Yeah.
Recently, I was speaking with Erika Morillo, who's a photographer, and she
Yeah.
uses photography
Yeah.
she used photography to write her memoir. So
Wow.
she integrates the photography, to look up, you know, she
Garland
did a
said
lot
to
of
sign her
research.
up. Garland
Her,
said sign her up. Sorry, go ahead.
her well, her book is about finding answers to her father's disappearance. Her father disappeared during the Balaguer era.
Wow.
And it was this big thing how this man just disappeared out of the blue, and her mom se hizo la loca, meaning because she couldn't deal with the trauma, so she
No,
never
yeah, you
spoke
shut
about
down.
it. She got rid of pictures. She was just like, I can't deal with that,
Yeah.
and she blocked it.
Wow.
So she had no clue whatever happened to her
I want to
father.
buy her book.
Yeah, and she
Erika
embarked on this.
Morillo.
Yeah, déjame enseñarte.
I always tell people, when people are like, "How can I support you?" I'm like, "Go buy my book."
Because
But let's
I
buy each other's books,
I
people.
bought the
Like,
book for a friend of mine, y lo tengo por ahí porque tengo que
ay, qué
entregar.
chévere.
This is
Oh
the
my God.
book.
Okay.
Okay, it's called Mother Archive because she also speaks about the strenuous
Oh,
relationship that she has
yeah,
with her mom.
oh my God, it's been
So
on my
todo
list. Yes.
eso es, she has the
Oh
images.
my gosh.
Um,
I love
she
that.
has,
I'm
mira, fotos de su familia. Eh,
Wow.
she
By the way,
has.
that's a privilege to have so many pictures. I don't think my family has so many pictures of themselves. That's
Well,
beautiful.
I'm not showing this book to my mom because mi mamá colecta
I
fotos. This is her father en un periódico
Oh my
allá en
God,
Santo Domingo.
I know who he is. Yes, I've heard the story.
Um,
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
él
Okay,
se
I'm going.
llamaba Eddie Morillo.
See. By the way, where should we buy our books then if we're not buying them on Amazon?
So you could buy them on Bookshop.
Bookshop.
Yes.
Okay.
Which you should also make sure that your book appears there. So
I need to
go
do
on
that.
go on bookshop.org and look up your book. Also check out bookfinder.com.
Yeah. Yeah.
Darlene, and
Yeah.
Bookfinder will tell you all the places your book is being sold. Meaning,
Amazing.
which is if you publish it on Amazon, is mostly going to show you Amazon
Yeah.
platforms,
Yeah. Yeah.
and other distributors that Amazon works
Okay.
with.
Okay. Great.
But yes, so if you have a local bookstore, patronize that bookstore and
I
purchase the
know.
book.
I need to do that. I
And
haven't done any of that.
bookshop.org was created in during the pandemic to because a percentage of your purchase goes to support independent bookstores.
Amazing.
That's what
That's what I
the
want. Okay.
platform
Okay, cool.
does. So there you go. Author, first buy from the author. If you can't buy it from the author, buy it from your local bookstore. If your local bookstore is a hater and doesn't sell Latino books, then go to bookshop.org.
I love you.
Okay? Yeah, we have a lot of trust. People hit me up from Florida all the time. Que no encuentro I'm like, I'm not surprised. If
I'm
we're
not
not
surprised.
getting banned, we're not getting sold. Oh,
Yeah,
it's Latino Heritage Month and they don't have that one Latino book. Where
I
was it? I
know.
was on 30. I took the Amtrak yesterday on 34th Street and there was a Strand
Yeah,
bookstore. And I said to my friend, let's see how many Latino books they have.
yeah,
Ni
yeah.
uno.
No. Yeah, I think that I when I published the book, I didn't like I'm like, "Oh, where can I go?" And then like going through that whole process, it's like, what are the book where can I and I just have put that in the side of being like, okay, when I have the energy and I feel like in the spring and like starting these conversations, there's a reason why I reached out to you. I believe everything is like so divinely organized and you just don't know. Um and then I do want for my other books, I do want to have a publisher. I want the universe to bring me something that's going to be in alignment, that will be great. And I have some other things coming up that
Yeah.
hopefully will support the book because
Finish the manuscript before you reach out to an
yeah,
agent.
yeah,
Just in case, because you never know, they might tell you, Darlene, mándamelo
uh,
enterito. And you're like,
uh,
oh, espérate, me
yeah.
faltan 50 páginas. Because
I know, I
they're
know.
not gonna wait for
They're
you.
not gonna wait. Yeah, and so that's the next thing. I'm doing some retreats. I think I cannot make that writer's retreat because I just remembered. I'm going up to Esalen, and that's a beautiful like retreat center up in Big Sur. And I think that I'm gonna start exploring while I'm there writing because I think it's so funny. I was writing at home, and then I produced a women's retreat in Maine. A lot of people book me to create their wellness retreats because I did events and I'm programming with the wellness practitioners. And I went to York, Maine, this beautiful, like by Kenny Bunkport. And one night, had the window open, the ocean was lit, and I just wrote all night. And then I was like, oh, this is why people go to a cabin and they leave their house and they write. Oh, this is why people do that.
No
And when they say why people do
distractions,
it.
and you're in a
Because it's
different
like,
environment
because,
and
oh my
better
God,
writing vibes.
my mind was just like blown
And now
away,
you
like how,
can, and now tú tienes que escribir un
en
jardín
un jardín,
rodeada de
no,
flores.
si no está bonito, yo no puedo hacerlo. Si no hay un sitio mágico al
Ya,
lado de
ya,
ahí, no
you've
puedo.
been ruined.
Which is what happens. And so I'm going up there and now I'm like, oh, that could be a great place for me to like start writing it. So thank you for inspiring that. That's so, so great. I'm so grateful. So, so, so grateful. I hope we
Yeah,
can
I'm so,
stay in touch
so
and please.
happy.
Thank
Good.
you. Thank you. And by the way, the timing didn't work, but I'm going to send you my book.
Okay,
Please
yes.
send me your,
I'll
send
send you
me,
our PO box.
yes, please send me your
Yeah.
PO box. I would
And
love,
would you consider doing a workshop for us
of course. I'm
based
like
on
here
your
for
book?
you.
You could use the
Yeah.
prompts because now I think it's so important for people to take care of themselves.
Yeah, I'm here. Whatever I can be in service, please let me know. I'm here.
Folks are dealing with so much anxiety and so much triggering and trauma.
Yeah.
It's
And I can
so
bring someone
much.
to like lead a short meditation and like we
Yes,
could do
yes.
something really beautiful and like whatever you want. Please just know that I am say I'm yeah, I'm a yes.
I will reach out to you. So
Please
ya,
say hello.
Scarlett, te voy a mandar un email. Give me a few days porque tengo este fin de semana medio loco.
Love it.
And Darlene, I'm gonna send you some info
Yeah.
and send you my PO box as well. Darlene,
Perfect.
it has been a
Mm.
pleasure to be in conversation with you. I am so
Thank
happy that we got together
thank you.
and talked. I
Yeah.
wish you all the best with this book.
Thank you so
Do
much.
let me know how we can go about and help you with your other
Yeah.
3 projects. Si
Yes.
Dios
Yes.
quiere, se van a realizar.
No, I need to like I
Con
want to
Dios por
do a book a
delante,
year.
como dice mi mamá,
Siempre.
se van a salir a la luz.
Yes, thank you so
Okay?
much. And clearly, the altar one needs to
Yes,
be the
that's
next
your
one.
number, el
That
primero.
was
No,
weird.
don't play with the universe.
I know that was weird. Okay, un abrazo y siempre a la orden. I know we'll be staying in touch, and if anybody needs any support, reach out, Scarlett. I will talk to you about your book, and also
Yes.
we got this. All right, un
All right,
abrazo. Que pasen
ladies.
buenas noches.
Have a good
Mwah. And
night.
please, everybody, take care
Bye.
of yourselves. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.